Well, good morning. It's Tuesday, September 30th. I'm Will Puckett. Thanks for joining us for Catch Up Quick. It's WVLT's daily fastcast that airs at 10:30 in the morning, Monday through Friday. We're glad you're here. We want to get straight to first alert weather. First alert meteorologist Sydney Sullivan in at the wall. And Sydney, a few little rain showers coming from Tropical Storm Imelda.
Exactly. Kind of unusual that it works this far inland. However, we know that can certainly happen, especially with Helene from last year. But this is a very different setup, which is wonderful news for the entire coast and for us here at home as well. We are seeing a little bit more cloud cover working inland from Imelda. It's also coming with a few of those spotty showers. Not necessarily seeing a whole lot of coverage right now, but you might start to see some of those isolated downpours begin to develop during the afternoon and evening. Current temperatures, not too bad as well, primarily sitting in the 60s to the lower 70s. Now that we're starting to see a little bit more sunshine break through the cloud cover, that will help our temperatures rebound back into the lower 80s this afternoon. Typically speaking, afternoon highs should be right around 78 degrees. So yes, we'll still be a few degrees above that for this afternoon. And like I mentioned, it will come with a few isolated showers and storms. Not a washout by any means, but coming up in your first alert for
Right now, an active search continues as a Blount County family is trying to find their daughter. The Blount County Sheriff's Office says 17-year-old Sarah Guirado-Guillen was last seen at East Broadway in Maryville. Deputies say she may be with a man in Knoxville or a surrounding area. They did not reveal the man's name. Guillen is 5'1", about 150 pounds. She has brown eyes and black hair. If you have any information, get in touch with the Blount County Sheriff's Office. We have that number for you inside your WVLT News app. Well, a former West High School teacher and coach is now facing a new child sex charge. Chad Brooks has been charged with sexual battery by an authority figure along with multiple statutory rape charges. The coach and teacher is accused of having inappropriate relationships with current and former students. He was indicted in May on previous charges. Police tell us the new charge after detectives uncovered another victim. Well, after an 8-month investigation, a Monroe County man is now facing a first-degree murder charge. 50-year-old Gerald Poff is accused of shooting 29-year-old Dennis Jenkins in the head. It happened at a home off of Highway 72 East back in January. Officials say Poff and the victim lived in the home. Well, Tennessee Highway Patrol is investigating following a deadly motorcycle crash that happened yesterday afternoon, just before 3 o'clock on Kingston Highway in Roane County. THP saying 43-year-old Jason Mullins was riding a motorcycle westbound when he hit a patch of hydraulic fluid and lost control. Mullins was killed. No other vehicles or passengers were involved. Well, the University of Tennessee professor fired for a hate-filled social media post following Charlie Kirk's murder wants her job back. In the letter to the University of Tennessee Chancellor Dondi Plowman, Dr. Tamar Sharinian writes, "Had I known more than a handful of friends were going to see the words, I would have never made that comment." Sharinian says she will appeal her firing in court if necessary. Meanwhile, Chancellor Dondi Plowman has called the professor's behavior egregious misconduct. You can see Chancellor Plowman's full letter laying out the grounds for dismissal and Sharinian's response inside your WVLT News app. Well, we're expecting to hear a final decision tonight on the future of a section of Chilhowie Park in East Knoxville. Knoxville Mayor Indy Kincannon has proposed the sale of part of the park to Emerald Youth Foundation for a sports complex. The City Council, meanwhile, is expected to vote on the sale at tonight's meeting, which starts about 6 o'clock. We'll have live coverage for you, of course, right here inside your WVLT News app, on air and all of our streaming websites as well. Well, the London, Kentucky mayor now back on the job after he was impeached just more than 3 weeks ago. A judge reinstating Mayor Randall Weddle Monday. This comes after city council members removed him from office earlier this month. The judge ruling they, quote, failed to present sufficient grounds for Weddle's removal from office. The London City Council plans to appeal this ruling. Meanwhile, we're getting a look at how much the Smokies impact East Tennessee's economy. The national park adding nearly $3 billion in spending. A new report from the National Park Service says more than 12 million people visited the Smokies last year with an economic impact of $2.86 billion. That's due to spending by tourists, along with the income from all the jobs created by it. If you want to learn more, we've got the full report for you inside your WVLT News App. Now happening in the Smokies, crews still working to clean up the Gatlinburg bypass after a landslide shut down the road Saturday. The National Park telling us they've removed more than 70 loads of debris already. Over 3 inches of rain fell Saturday morning between 10 and 11:30. The landslide covering about 150 feet of the road with nearly 4 inches of mud and debris. You can get updates on this cleanup right now inside your WVLT News app.
And now, your first alert forecast with meteorologist Sydney Sullivan.
Well, after a bit of a cloudy start this morning, starting to see some breaks of sunshine work through that cloud cover. But all of this is actually due to a melta that is pushing further inward this cloud cover along with a few spotty showers. Fortunately for us, we're not going to see a whole lot of activity out of it, but it will bring us some of those downpours later this afternoon. Now looking at downtown right now, seeing some blue skies work through that cloud cover. So as we continue throughout the rest of this morning and into the middle of the day, we'll start to see a little bit more sunshine begin to develop. Afternoon highs still trending a few degrees above average, topping out in the lower 80s for today. And once we get past today and tomorrow, we finally get a little bit more of that fall-like feel in the air towards the end of the week. So something to look forward to there. Now, as we go throughout the rest of the day, yes, some breaks of sunshine begin to develop. And then after about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, especially 2 through about 6 o'clock or so, we start to see some of these isolated downpours begin to work further inward, or inland. So especially areas east of Knoxville have a better chance of seeing at least a little bit more coverage, but some of this could still trickle on even further westward, just depending on the overall system and how it continues to work its way back out to sea. So as of right now, yes, a little bit more cloud cover, some of those isolated downpours the second half of the day, and then once the sun sets, most of that should begin to fizzle on out. We're waking up to quiet conditions tomorrow morning, still a little bit above average to kick off our Wednesday, and then we'll finally start to see that cooler air settle on in towards the end of the week, especially waking up each and every morning. So a nice break in the overall stretch of our temperatures. Now looking at the big picture here from Imelda into Umberto, the two of these have actually really been an interesting system to watch. In fact, Umberto's strength helping to steer Imelda away from the coast. Now those coastal communities still going to see some impacts, but fortunately they're not dealing with the overall landfall of Imelda. So wonderful news there. But those two systems basically following hand in hand with each other over the course of the next 24 to 48 hours, pushing back out to sea away from the U.S. So wonderful news there. Here at home, just tracking a few of those isolated downpours during the afternoon and evening. Otherwise, mainly quiet conditions to follow with more sunshine beginning to work back in and then starting to feel that cooler air settle on in towards the end of the week.
All righty, Sydney, appreciate it. Well, the federal government could shut down unless Congress reaches an agreement by midnight tonight. Sticking points remain, with Democrats wanting to undo recent Medicaid cuts and preserve certain Obamacare subsidies. They also want to make it harder for the president to cut funds Congress has already approved. But what does this mean for you? Shutdown could impact customer service, paperwork, food inspections, national parks right here in East Tennessee. Social Security payments will continue, but if you're flying, you could experience delays. Well, Monday marked the start of boots on the ground in Tennessee. This is the Memphis Safe Task Force begins operations. 13 different agencies, including the National Guard, will be helping clean up crime in Memphis. Governor Bill Lee says it's going to be a phased approach, meaning not every agency arrived yesterday. Experts say many of the federal agencies may not be recognizable on the streets because they don't wear uniforms. National Guard troops will be in uniform. The city and state are not specifically saying where agents and troops will be located, but that people could see them in neighborhoods serving as, quote, extra eyes and ears. Well, people still have concerns with police in Scarborough, a historic community outside of Oak Ridge. This comes 4 months after 10 people were shot or stabbed on Memorial Day weekend. Community leaders meeting for the second time to hear from the community about their concerns over police. People asking the police department to look into more training for officers and to recognize that if there are too many police at some events, it makes some feel uncomfortable.
It opened the door to other conversations. So I've had different citizens contacting me, coming to see me, or I'm going somewhere to meet them so we can have follow-up, so they can have one-on-one, tell me things they're concerned about, things they want to talk about.
Now, Oak Ridge Police Chief Robin Smith says they've seen an improvement in calls for service and that police in the community are working towards the same goal. Well, there's a change drivers on Alcoa Highway need to know about for this weekend. Portions of the northbound lanes will be closed starting late Friday night for construction. This will be between John Sevier Highway and the University of Tennessee Medical Center. UT Med officials saying TDOT is working with first responders to escort ambulances if needed. TDOT spokesperson Mark Nagy says drivers from Blount County and McGee-Tyson Airport should use Pellissippi Parkway. Other drivers can use John Sevier Highway to get to Chapman Highway. Nagy says closing the lanes will keep everyone safe during the road work.
So the contractor has to do a lot of blasting in this area. There is a massive amount of rock on the nearby slope, and we're trying to make sure that motorists are safe and that the contractor is safe as well, their workers. So we need to make sure we have that complete closure in place.
TDOT says the closure should be done by early Tuesday morning. Nagy saying this is a part of a bigger Alcoa Highway project that started 9 years ago in 2016, and the goal is to make the roadway safer by taking out left turns. And there's even 7 portions being worked on with 2 sections finished. Nagy says the project won't be done until the 2030s. WVLT proud to be your official station of the Vols. And they're off this week, but we now know the kickoff time for the next matchup, that one against Arkansas, a week from Saturday. 4:15, October the 11th, the Vols stepping back inside Neyland Stadium after that huge overtime win on the road against Mississippi State. Kickoff between the Vols and Hogs set for 4:15.
We the People, celebrating 250 years of America. Sponsored by Garza Law Firm.
Well, on this date in 1947, the first World Series was broadcast on TV. The New York Yankees playing the Brooklyn Dodgers. That first broadcast was seen only in 4 East Coast markets: New York City, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., and Schenectady, New York. The broadcast helping spark a boom in television sales and creating the link between sports and television. Well, that's going to do it for us. Thanks for staying with us. Remember, you can stay up to date all the time inside the WVLT News app, on WVLT.tv on your desktop, and all of our social media and streaming pages.